Well, hi there guys, and welcome to another video. So guys, I'm filming on my phone again today. Please do excuse the amateurishness of that action. I've not yet figured out a more permanent solution as a replacement for my Xiaomi Yi. But anyway, enough of that nonsense. This video is a bit of a follow-up from one I did recently, where I was building a PC for use with Home Assistant. That PC has now got Home Assistant on it, and I have, well actually my wife has, set up all the obvious stuff around the home. Plug sockets, lights, cameras, washing machine, dishwasher, that kind of normal stuff. Yeah, during that process I noted that Home Assistant supports Zigbee, and I thought, well, Zigbee sounds interesting. I think I'm going to play around with that. So today's video is showing you some of my Zigbee stuff set up with Home Assistant. So I guess the first component to show you is the Zigbee radio that goes in the Home Assistant computer itself. Those of you who watched the previous video will recognise this computer here as my Home Assistant computer. But if we look around the back, we can see there is a USB Zigbee radio plugged into the USB port back there. And that is the thing that sits at the centre of the Zigbee deployment. Zigbee runs on the same unlicensed frequencies as Wi-Fi, so that's already fun because of all the interference around these parts. But I'm going to take a quick walk around my house and show you all of the various things that it is talking to. Let's get to it. Those of you familiar with Zigbee may be aware it supports a mesh operation, which is very useful for me in this facility with all the aforementioned interference, because it allows devices to repeat messages onto other devices, thus extending the reach of the network. But as a general rule, that's only available with mains-powered devices, and all of the sensors I've deployed are battery-powered. So I've also made a purchase of some repeaters, and strangely, despite all of these very well-known manufacturers in the IoT space, the recommendation I got was to use IKEA repeaters, of all things. So IKEA have a brand, Tradfry, that's definitely how it's pronounced, and I've bought a couple of mains-powered Tradfries. The first that I've deployed here on my landing, which is this one right here. Nice IKEA device that, yes, is connected back to the central controller, and then has other devices connected into it. So that's my first one for connecting upstairs sensors to. The second repeater, the second Tradfry, is a little bit harder to see because I've put it in the kitchen behind the microwave. A little bit difficult to see, but trust me, it is back there. And, you know, where better to put things that work on the 2.4 gigahertz range than right behind a microwave. Good choice there. You people are always saying you want more beagles, so here's some beagles wandering about their side garden, as they do. They seem to be trying to find dirt to eat, I think. Oh, the joys of being a beagle, walking around and eating dirt and grass and such. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the radio in the Home Assistant box or the two repeaters. We're here to talk about sensors. So without further ado, the first sensor that I've deployed, which I've deployed here in the bedroom, I have deployed above the window for no particular reason. It is a thermometer, and it is mounted right above the window there. It has a convenient magnetic buoy so that it can be taken off. And yes, it sits up there and reports on the temperature in the bedroom, which is great. I'm not quite sure why, but I seem to have a propensity for wanting to mount things above windows. Anyway, it's another Thermo Bishop, exactly the same model as the first one, but in my office, and it is mounted above the window. Same affair, same model, same everything. Hotter room, mind you. Also, have you seen this fish? You shouldn't pour oil down the drains, not when it goes to a river. Anyway, yes, that's the second one. Third item, another thermometer, exactly the same as the first two, but this one is in the lounge, and it's not attached to a magnetic buoy. It's stood on a shelf because it has a little kickstand. Ooh! So yes, on a shelf in the corner, near my orange pie, which of course was featured in a recent video. and my Google Home speaker, which was featured in a not very recent video. Anyway, moving on. More thermometer action. Kind of running out of things to say about thermometers now. This one just inside the front door, and I am actually using this magnetic mount for this one, so that's good. Yes, tells the temperature, humidity. Yep, more of that. This is the final thermal lord, I promise you. Fifth thermometer, slightly different model than the other four, doesn't have a screen. And weirdly enough, I've placed it out here in the side garden in a receptacle where I keep pebbles. So yes, here it is, in a few IKEA bags nested inside one another, is a thermometer. So I can know the outdoor temperature, albeit that it sometimes lags behind a little bit because it's in lots of bags in a metal container. I'm not sure how accurate that's going to be in the summer when the sun is beaming down on it. Certainly I don't think the humidity sensor is accurate, but yes, that's the fifth and final one of those. I also got me a motion sensor. This boy right here, very nice. It's right in the foyer in front of the front door with visibility of the whole foyer. Yeah, that's kind of great. I set up an automation on that so that when there is motion in this area, the light comes on, and when motion is no longer detected in this area, the light goes off, which is fantastic at night when the dogs decide to get up and wander around and this bright light comes all the way up the stairs and is very interruptive to sleep. But yes, motion sensor, infrared, exciting. But Jacob, my old buddy, I hear you say, what about for situations where you don't want the light to be on after the motion sensor has activated it? Well, for that I got myself a button, a Zigbee button, which looks a little something like this, and when I press it, the light goes out, and when I press it, the light comes on. That's right, I've set up an automation on that button for a light toggle. These buttons are quite good, they're just magnetically attached, and they even give you a panel to put on the wall so that you've got something to magnetically attach it to. A button. What will they think of next? I also have a second button here on the landing. Same affair as the first button, mag-mounted jobber. And similarly to the other button in the foyer, this button toggles the lights off and on in the landing. Buttons! Absolute genius! Who'd have thought of it? And that's it. That's all the Zigbee stuff that I have at home. Suffice it to say, I'm not going to go much into Home Assistant and how it's all set up or do a screen recording or anything, but this is a dashboard that my wife has set up. Suffice it to say, it has things on it, graphs and stuff like that, so that's all super. The Zigbee stuff is like really easy to set up in here. You just, get your devices in here and do things on them, and it's got a few cool things. You can view the Zigbee network, it shows you how things are connected to one another and that kind of stuff. So yes, and pairing Zigbee devices is easy. You just put this thing into Discovery, and most of the time you turn the device on for the first time and it goes and finds it. Otherwise, devices have things like a little hole in them that you can push a needle into to get it to rejoin the network. But yes, it's been mostly trivial, apart from this one, which was a DOA movement sensor, and other than that, everything's worked fine. So yes, that's it. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed my short video about my Zigbee setup at home. If you have done anything with IoT, do let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, that's probably about all I've got to say. I hope you found it interesting and informative. I do look forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then guys, there's very little more for me to say, except, well, Zigbee.